What's up? It's Ace Marrero here, and I'm basically going to do a little video on my UFC picks for UFC 146. Alright, so let's get into this. 146, big card, heavyweights. We're kicking it off with Mike Thomas Brown versus Daniel Pineda, and I'm a little bummed. Mike Thomas Brown's been talking a lot about retirement lately. I give the advantage to Mike Brown in this fight. Daniel Pineda has had 2 other fights in the UFC, but they haven't been overranked opponents, and you know, Mike Brown's been in there with some beasts. And I hope he wins, man. Sentimental win for Mike Thomas Brown, former champ, right? Kyle Kingsbury versus Glover Teixeira, which I'm so psyched about. This is Glover's UFC debut, and he's a fighter who's just been in the MMA game forever, and he's just never made it, never made it over to the UFCs. But it is what it is. He's coming here now, and Kingsbury's a good opponent for him to start with. Like I said, a lot of MMA fans have been excited for Glover's debut in the UFC, and we're finally going to get to see it. Jacob Volkman versus Paul, and I get a kick out of this. Sass has 8 of his 11 submission victories by triangle choke. So I guess they're playing on the triangle Sass angle. Get it? Maybe not. It's late. I'm tired. Whatever. I don't know if he's going to be able to get Volkman down to the ground, to be honest. And even if he does, Volkman went the distance with Paulo Thiago. You know, it was obviously an awesome Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist. So I don't really see this being an issue. I think Volkman's going to take this one. Next up, such a good fight. Dan Hardy versus Dwayne Bang Ludwig, who owns the now officially recognized as the fastest knockout in UFC history. 6 seconds and change. This is going to be a tough fight, man. A really tough fight. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think this is going to be a fight that keeps everybody on their toes watching, because both these guys throw down. This is no joke. I think I have to give the edge here to Dan Hardy, man. Dan Hardy's only been knocked out once in all his fights. They have comparable records, 23-10, 21-12. Man, I think Hardy's got a bit better chin than Dwayne. I'm gonna give him the advantage here. I think, you know, I'd like to see Dan Hardy get a win there, man, for sure. Jason Mayhem Miller versus CB Dalloway, man. This is a tough fight for me. I like Jason Mayhem Miller a lot. It's hard for me to say, but I don't think he's going to take this one, man. As much as I, you know, am irritated by CB Dalloway ever since he was on the show, and then when he pulled that shady move and denied tapping out to Amir Sadallah the second fight, when halfway horrible Herb Dean didn't see the tap. I don't like when you know, fighters try to be dishonest like that. I definitely think CB's got a bit more of an edge on the feet, just because he's got more power, in my opinion. And I think he's an awesome wrestler, so I think he's going to keep Jason on the ground. And I don't really think Jason's going to pose too much of a threat for him off his back, to be honest. So I hope I'm wrong, but I think I'm going to give it to CB on this one. Edson Barboza versus Jamie Varner. I definitely think he's still going to give Barboza probably the biggest, you know, challenge that he's had to date. But man, I've been saying it for close to 2 years now. Barboza is a beast. He is no joke. He's like you know, he's a pint-sized Anderson Silva, man. The guy is like a wind-up toy, and you let him go, and there's just limbs flying all over the place, coming at you from all angles, man. And I think this is going to be the fight that everyone's going to be like, damn, this guy's playing for keeps, and he's going for it. So I definitely got Barboza in this fight. Diego Brandao versus Darren Elkins. Brandao fights at Jackson MMA, and I mean, and I just think he's just got way more to give than Elkins does at this point. All right, now we get into the big boys, right? We start with Stefan Struve and LeVar Johnson, right? LeVar taking this on obviously pretty short notice. He just fought a couple weeks back. You know, I have to say, man, I'm not on the LeVar train right now. I think he fights with his guard down too much, and he's kind of flat-footed, in my opinion. It feels like a Sasquatch stomping around the ring, you know, throwing wild clubs. But I guess when you're knocking fools out, you don't have to keep your guard up. And I feel already like I'm wrong, but I'm gonna pick Stefan Struve in this fight just because I think he's more technical, and I'm still going with the more technical fighter over LeVar Johnson. But yeah, like I said, I pretty much feel like that's wrong right now as I'm saying it. Right now. I should just change my fight, but I'm not. We're on to Stipe Miocic. Not Stipe. Myosisk, as I heard like 5 people pronounce it, versus Shane Del Rosario. And I'm rolling my R's because I'm trying to practice my Spanish, so bear with me. He beat LeVar Johnson, obviously, which I just gave you my thoughts on Sasquatch earlier. I mean LeVar earlier. But I just don't think it's going to go Miocic, apostrophe S's way. I added another S in there. But yeah, Shane looked pretty excited at the weigh-in, making his little official debut for the UFC, and I think he's gonna do this thing within 1 round. To be honest, I think he's gonna keep his average solid there. Roy Nelson, big country, big belly, Roy Nelson, the guy who grows freaking mullets and beards like nobody's business. Anyway, he's fighting Dave Herman, and I don't know, man. I like big country. The guy's like the Michael Myers of MMA. He just keeps coming back. I think he's got the experience over Dave Herman, and Dave Herman hasn't fought the caliber of opponents Roy Nelson has. So I definitely give Roy Nelson the nod here. I don't know. Cain Velasquez versus Antonio Bigfoot Silva. When they announced Silva, I was really surprised. I was impressed, man. I was impressed because I didn't think that Cain would come back and fight somebody like as dangerous as Silva, to be quite honest, after losing to Dos Santos like that, you know, especially from his first fight back. I don't know who to give the edge to. I really don't with these two guys. You know, I'm not so much interested in the outcome of this fight in terms of the win-loss column for either of these guys. I'm more interested in what happens in this fight for Cain Velasquez. In the first minute, I think is going to be very powerful, a very, very strong message, because I think it's going to say a lot about his merit as a champ, as a former champ, and I'm sure soon to be champ again, man. I think he'll wear that crown again. But I think that first minute's going to show a lot. Him having lost the way he did, and then, you know, he's been pretty humble about his loss. But I'm curious to see if he's going to be gun-shy or if he's just going to dive head first, man, like he has in the past, and be aggressive, you know. And I think he's going to need to be aggressive against Silva. You know, Silva's dangerous, but, you know, I think Cain is quicker, and I think his wrestling is going to be a big factor here. Silva's dangerous off his back, but I think Cain's got a well-rounded enough game from the top position on the ground to do damage, and I think this is going to be a big, big win for Cain. And then the last fight, Dos Santos versus Mir. Man, a friend of mine was doing a podcast, and he had me on and interviewed me, and I already picked Dos Santos in that fight, so I can't duck out of that pick. That's my pick. I've always just been a fan of Frank Mir just because of his story, you know, his adversity, the adversity he's gone through, you know, the things he's risen above and challenged to get back to where he is, and then, you know, to be a contender and a champion, you know, all these things. I've just been drawn into that. You know, I think if it wasn't for the fact that he rubs people the wrong way, and I don't know why, because he's not arrogant at all. Very arrogant. I can see why people don't like that, but he's just a cocky dude. He's a cocky dude. He's got that swagger, and I think he backs it up, man. Whether people want to give him the respect or not, I think he throws it down. He gets beat. He comes back. He pulls it out. You know what I mean? And he finds ways to keep notching the win column, man. So I don't know. I won't be happy either way. Whoever wins this fight, like I said, I already picked Dos Santos just because I think he's such a beast and he's strong and he's got those crazy hands. And but you know, I'd be happy to see Frank Mir take this one. But that's that. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll do more of these. Check them out. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, the Jersey kid trying to throw his 2 cents into the MMA game. Peace. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.